We've been talking about The Last Jedi the last few weeks on this YouTube channel, but we've also been talking about it on our podcast feed, which you can see down below. And you can check out all the things that we've been doing there, 3 podcasts a week. Subscribe on iTunes, wherever you listen. But I digress. I want to talk more about The Last Jedi and the divisiveness of it. And all the topics that have been going around have been amazing to listen to. But I've not really heard a lot of people talk about how The Last Jedi pertains to organized religion. So all of Star Wars really has to do with politics and religion, and a lot of that comes from the prequel trilogy with the Senate and dictatorship and everything that goes along with that. We see so much politics in those films, but we also see this little bit of religion and how midichlorians and the Force possibly gave birth to Anakin and a singular mother, kind of making them a Jesus and Mary analogy. And with that being said, they bring this ideal of religion that really wasn't all that powerful before in the original trilogy, but we see the Force more as a religious experience than anything else, especially when we talk about the light and the dark. Going into The Last Jedi, we have this idea of the light being the good and the dark being the bad, and those two sides conflicting with each other consistently. But in The Last Jedi, there's a conversation that happens that changes what the Force feels like, what these two sides completely feel like. And that conversation comes from Benicio del Toro's DJ, when he's talking to Finn, and they're talking about a seller who was selling goods to both the good guys and the bad guys. And that whole entire idea that there are people who are profiting off of selling to both sides, and there are also people suffering because of the war. DJ's conversation with Finn and the idea that we're now looking at a greater universe. There's not just a light and a dark. There's a lot of gray. There's a lot of people who aren't even involved in the war. That idea becomes an analogy that really is similar to the world that we live in now. It becomes really clear that both sides, the light and the dark side of the Force, believe that they're right. Both sides are fighting for the way that they believe the galaxy should be. We can make that association as well between the Palestinians and the Israelites, and how they both think that they own a certain piece of land because of a religious background. And there are so many people that are profiting off of religious war or political war, and there are so many people in these countries, especially in the Palestinian-Israeli situation, who are suffering because of the war that they don't even want to be involved in. We can point to the Jedi or the New Order as religious extremists on either side, and these people in between who can use the Force or who have ideas of the Force but don't necessarily use them in the way that the Jedi would or the way that the New Order wants to with Kylo Ren. Politics and religion, for better or worse, are always melded together in the real world, no matter how much we try and separate church and state. And that's something that's happening in the Star Wars universe as well. There are people using the Force for political gain in the same way that we would use our religious beliefs to further gain us in a Senate race or to become president, and how we use religion to strike up political warfare. For example, in the United States, Christians have been glorified while Muslims have been denounced. And that's something that we see in all of the world, not just in the United States, that we favor certain religions while denouncing others. And that seems to be happening in the Star Wars universe as well, where we're really glorifying the light side and the Jedis while denouncing the Siths, denouncing the dark side. And is it really fair? We need that balance, but is that balance being shifted completely to the light side because that's who we want to root for? It's all up in the air, and there's so many other questions that I would love to have answered from The Last Jedi about religion that we don't get, and we may never even get it with Episode 9 or any of the films that come out later. But for now, that's all I've got. Let me know what you think about organized religion and the Star Wars universe and how they all pertain to each other. I'd love to hear your comments and what you guys think about this. And make sure to head over to our social media pages, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. We're updating those things all the time with all kinds of fun content that's not just our videos, not just our podcasts. And while you're at it, check out the podcast feed like I said earlier. Check out our t-shirts. You can get this Rebel Scum shirt right here. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. Keep on moving, people.